Yo, very sick beats, what up? I'm here with my man JFILT. My name is OP, Artist Relations Manager for Serato on the East Coast. We're here today at SAE with DJ City and Scratch DJ Academy. We went over a bunch of interesting gear. The Roland DJ 505. Check out what my man put up on the YouTube. Learn all about how these pieces of equipment work with Serato DJ. And get busy, get out there, do your thing on the DJ tip, rock out. Also, make sure you check out Serato Sample, our new sample plugin. It works with Ableton, Logic, FL Studio Machine, and most other DAWs. Make your music, go DJ it, make it happen. Check it out.
So no latency there, so right away as you're moving. Right, so great platters to be able to work with. It has great crossfader with it as well, and volume faders to be able to work with. Levels that you can see for each channel, and then also coming out the master as well, which is great. A filter for each of the channels. And it's full isolator filter. So when you cut down all the way to low, it's going to cut out all the sound, and then the same thing on the high as well. Also isolator EQs as well. And then you have the isolator EQs. So really clean on the lows, same on the mid, same on the highs. Very clean. Your trim for the track is here, so you can turn your trim up and down. Really clean as well. So all that stuff is there. Your navigation and browsing through your tracks is here. So you can scroll through your library here, right? Or you can press the back button and then go through your crates. And then once you're in the crate, you can press back again and then scroll through and you find whatever track you want to use. And then you press the load button here and that loads up the track. Right, so easy to be able to load up stuff and be able to work with it. So you don't have to always go to the computer, you can do a lot of stuff right here. Very easy to work with. If you hold down shift, anything that's in white underneath any of the buttons you can do. So if you want to organize your library by BPM, you can press this here with shift and it's going to organize it by BPM. If you want to organize it by key, then you can do shift and press load. And now it's going to be organized by key instead of it by BPM. I'll go back to BPM. Very easy to be able to make that happen, right? And then also doing shift here with the back button and the add prepare will do it by song or by artist. So you can easily rearrange your library to be able to move very quickly, right? On the controller, if you press the TR button here, this will now get you to the sounds that are inside the drum machine. Now I have this turned down so you're not hearing it, but if I turn this up, now you can do it. So we have separate control of everything that's happening up here and plus the sounds from your sampler separate from your actual channels, right? So you could be DJing with the channels here, start to remix some stuff, and you can actually cue what's happening in the drum machine before you bring it out. So you could actually be listening to what you program inside your drum machine and then bring up the volume for it to bring it on top of your song to remix it, right? Which is pretty cool. The effects, and then you can use these knobs here to be able to control the amount. So so easy to be able to do that and make it work with all the effects here. And also have the effects go to the drum machine. So if I want to, for example, let's say do this repeater and I want to fit it to the drum machine. Right, so there's some interesting things that you can do with that. I had the repeater turned on there, so when I have that turned up. Let's get down here to this section here. So we got a bunch of performance pads that are here, and those performance pads can do a bunch of different things. So go to hot cue, and now I can trigger my hot cues. Turn that off, that's one. Right, so I have all the hot cues that are there. The hot cues when you make them will be in the same color that it is inside of Serato DJ. If I change the color inside of Serato DJ by doing a right click on the cue point and then saying I want it to be yellow, then when I change it to yellow here in the computer, it also changes here on the controller as well. So visually, if there's certain things that stick out to you more than others in the club, whether it be because it's too dark or certain colors stand out, then you can change your cue points to those colors and it'll now react on the controller as well, which is pretty dope. You can make a cue loop, which is gonna loop the first 4 beats in the track for you automatically. And then you press it back to the cue point and you can trigger that. You press it again, it turns it off with it in cue loop. It's a bit of work, so that's a nice little feature. The next button here is the roll. So kind of similar to what I was showing you before. On that side with the roll, the top buttons here are gonna be your roll. So I can,
no vacation.
if you notice here on the platter, it's actually moving to the reaction of the roll, right? So you're visually able to see what's happening. You're hearing it, but you're also visually seeing it as well happen here too. And that's dope because that's not on any other controller. So that's a nice responsive thing they've added on to this controller here. Your rolls are on the top and then your beat jumps are gonna be on the bottom. So now I can jump through the track. If you do shift and slicer, now this gets you to the slicer. The slicer is a lot of fun. Basically what it's gonna do is gonna break up your, a section of the track, basically 2 bars into 4ths. And then you can kind of go through and press those and then kind of rearrange the way that they're playing. Right, so the slicer is pretty dope. You can use these parameter buttons that are here to basically change like the length of that roll or probably of that slice. So you can do it kind of here or here, right? So you can change the way that's gonna kind of roll when you do the slice, which is pretty fun as well, right? You press the 3rd button, this gets you to the drum machine. So you have all these classic sounds here that are available to you with the drum machine. We'll talk about this section up here a little bit. If I want to choose the instrument that I want to work with, I have a kick, snare, closed hat, open hat, and a bunch of other sounds that are available to me. So I have the kick that's here that I've chosen, and now with this kick here, I can do some adjustments. So I can adjust the volume or the level of it. I can also adjust the tuning. I can also do the attack and the decay as well. So you could potentially damage someone's speakers because that's pretty powerful for what it can do, right? So you do that for all those different sounds. So if I press instrument again, I can choose the snare, and I can adjust that. Right, so all those sounds you can adjust with it. If you want to go through the kits that are available, then you hold down shift and then instrument. And now you can choose between those kits. Right, so you have a bunch of different kits that are available for you to be able to use. Again, these classic Roland sounds, 808, 909s, so on and so forth, all that stuff available for you to be able to work with, right? Now, technically, if I have a pattern that's set up, I can press the start button and then play that pattern. And if I want to, I can change the kit. by changing the instrument, and now it's going to keep that same pattern but change into another drum machine sound, right? Okay, cool. Now, the fun in all this is that you can sync the drum machine to the track that you're playing inside of Serato, right? So I'm going to keep that same pattern there. And the sync button is turned on here. It's also turned on inside of Serato DJ as well, right? So when I play this here, all wheels are locked in, and now I can change the pitch adjust. So now I'm able to basically move between BPMs, moving things faster or slower, while making the adjustment with the pitch adjust because the drum machine is now synced in to the track that I'm playing, right? So you can do a lot of interesting things with that, right? Technically, if I wanted to, I could program some drums, throw in the Rihanna song, stop the Rihanna song, keep the drums playing, people still dancing to that drum pattern, and I can throw in another track on top of it, right? If I want to, and then keep on building that and working it, which is dope. If you want to move between your patterns, you have 16 patterns that you can make, and you can turn those patterns on and off here. So if I have this turned on, turn the sample up. Now, these patterns that are here are already pre-programmed on here, but you can make your own. So if I want to go to this first one, I'm going to clear this. So I'm going to press clear and press the pattern. Right, so now when I go to press play on pattern 1, there's nothing there, so I can now record on that pattern. And there's two ways that I can record. I can either go to the instrument, probably here, to record here, and I can start to program in the steps. So I can say, okay, for the kick, you go to the instrument, I'll choose the kick, and then I can press here on these or anything else in between. And now when I press play, right, I have those that are running. I can go then choose the snare and then go back and then start adding in, right, those there. And maybe I want to change that snare. So I'm gonna go do, actually I'll keep it as it is right now. It's not bad, but I will actually, there we go. So I made it some adjustments to the attack and the decay, and now I got that snare kind of popping out a bit more in this sequence. Let's go to some hi-hats and go to instrument, choose the hi-hats, and I'll go here and hold on 1 second. So I got those kind of running, doing their thing, which is pretty dope, right? And again, I can start to bring in this Rihanna track. I'm actually some beat jumping here. So again, kind of do some beat jumping, kind of rearrange it if I want to, playing around with it while still staying in time with the drum machine locked in, which is pretty dope, what you can do with it, right? So again, you have the kits that are all available to you. You have all those different sounds, 909s, 808s, so on and so forth that you can work with. You can make multiple patterns and then switch between the patterns while it's playing.
So amazing. Wanna summer, no vacation. Stay up on my Instagram application.
also mute certain sounds as well. So that's a lot of fun because on the 808 there wasn't a mute on it. It would actually just mute the whole pattern versus muting particular sounds. So this you can actually mute the particular sound that's playing. So you can kind of drop something out, bring it back in, kind of flex it, do a bunch of stuff that's interesting with it, which is a lot of fun as well, just with that mute button turned on there too, right? You can swing things with the shuffle. So the drum machine is playing here. You hear that swing happening, the drums, more positive, also backwards as well. You can nudge certain sounds if you want to. You can also change the scale. And play it in 8 with triplets, 16 with triplets, regular 16 and 32, which is going to be really fast. Right, so you can program it to do a bunch of stuff there as well, which is pretty dope, right? So all these things again with the drum machine, all available for you to get busy with. And then again, because I have the sampler, which are these sample sounds that I have inside of my Serato, then I can program those as well. So I'm gonna just play this here, and press Shift and TR record. So that's now a combination of both the drum machine and then also my samples inside of Serato sample playing at the same time. If I want to see those, then what I can do is go to the instrument, and then these are now those kicks or those hi-hats that I programmed. I'll press instrument again. These are now the kicks that I programmed, right? And press instrument again, and those are the snares that I programmed right there, and I can go through and I can change them by pressing the step sequencer to get them in the places where I want them to be, and they'll be good to go, right? So again, a lot of flexibility to be able to do some live remixing kind of on the spot, using both the sounds that are inside the drum machine or inside the controller with the drum machine, and then also using samples that you can use inside the sampler, inside of Serato DJ with your own sounds to bring in to work with, right? Yeah, it's a lot of fun. So this thing is coming out very, 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 very soon. What I love about this controller, kind of like the 808, but it's actually better to a degree, is that you can add turntables to the controller, right? So if you want to still use your control tone vinyl to be able to cut and scratch with, you can connect through the phono inputs on the back, turntables to it, and then you have DVS function to be able to work with it, right? And you can get busy. So for some people, like, this is cool, right? But it might be a little too small for them, but they like the feeling of the records, so you just add a turntable to it. And technically the body of this now, because you're not dealing with the 808, which is really long, because this is shorter, now your turntables are closer, so you get into the crossfader, so now you can get busy with the cuts and everything else and make it happen, right? So again, a lot of fun with this, and because it's small, you can put this in a backpack and then put this on the plane with you to go places, right? So if you gotta go travel, you're a touring DJ, and you don't wanna have to deal with a venue who's always gonna have messed up gear, then you bring this with you, and then you can play this for your gigs, whether it be yourself as a DJ or touring with an artist. And on top of it, you can also add the turntables if they have turntables there, and you can rock with that as well to add on. So again, a lot of really great things that you can do with this. It's super light. It's going for $699. It's gonna be coming out in a couple of weeks. We're going to make some big announcements about it, and there's some pretty dope DJs that we have lined up already using it, and they're really excited about it. So this is the Roland 505. There's a bunch of other stuff I can talk to you about with it, but we'll kind of play around with it and get a vibe for it.